when you think of your energy, the energy that makes you you, the energy that makes you unique, when you see that as an infinite source from which you came from and are going to leave seeds in the future, whether it's you or your seed, your posterity, whether it's them or it's the part that was in the same branch that you were in the middle of this V. Let's say they went this way, and let's say you die or your son dies at some point. That doesn't mean that that the energy that makes you keeps moving forward. For it was at this crossroads that this person kept going. And also realize that you guys came from the same source, the hand, and the hand came from the elbow and so forth. Now, when I make things with my hands, when I plant seeds, whether I be shaking someone's hand, I'm transferring that energy as well. And energy is infinite, and it's in that way that we're all connected. Now, there's a certain sense of abundance, of prosperity that comes to mind when we focus on that part of us that extends through eons and eons of time, through the infinity of what the world is, right? When we identify and focus on that part of ourselves, and simultaneously on the part that even made that start, as in also identify with that person. If you can, it's a weird thing that happens when you can focus on those two versions of yourself, the part that makes things happen and the part that is the happening itself. So man, that sounds really abstract, but I was just focusing on leaving a future for my kids and the kids of my kids, and financially, investing in something that I won't ever have access to. Neither will the next generation. But actually, let's say, what if we could, and I'll bet you there's probably something out there already where you could do this. And I'm going to need to look it up, because this is groundbreaking stuff. Think of all the wealth that your 100th generation from you would have if you put money in an investment fund for them to inherit 100 generations from now. Now this investment would be growing throughout the years, even without anyone adding money to it, whether it's your son or your son's son or daughters. It just grows by itself. Think of all of the compound interest, all of the money, right, that will have been stored by then, by the 100th generation that comes down after you. Oh my goodness. And to write something in the clause or in the contract of the inheritance fund, to write something in there like this amount of money will not be available to you. And this would be like you speaking to your 100th grandson, if you want to call it that, right? Or your 100th son, saying, "Hey, you need to, or this needs to happen before you are able to retrieve this money." And not something that's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Well, what would it say? Because you don't want to just give that much amount of money to one person and then, like, what does that do? That could kill somebody. They could actually suicide themselves. I heard of people being so rich, or people that had everything given to them, that they had nothing to strive for because they were already set. Or they had so much pressure, or not enough pressure within themselves. That's what happens when people suicide themselves. They split themselves into two, and the one wants to kill the other, but they can't get rid of the other without getting rid of both of themselves, right? They can't kill that part of themselves that they hate without killing the whole of who they are. Anyways, I digress back into what I was talking about. You wouldn't want that money just to be accessible for no reason, right? So you would make some kind of condition to where if you can do this, then I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. How insane is that, though? That would be at least one of the, because we all want to live, right? We don't want to just invest all our money. But here's the thing: you wouldn't have to invest that much for it to grow like that in 100 years' time, right? 100 years, not even 100 years. That's one generation. 100 generations. 100 times 100 is what? I mean, even if we say 100 times, let's say that your posterity grow to live at 60 years old at the most. So 60 times 100. Well, no, then that wouldn't make sense either, because people generally have kids anywhere between 20 and 30. So 20 times 100. Would that make sense? Would that be 100 generations? 20, then 20. Well, no, because there's 20 years in 100 years. So that'd be 5 times 100. That's 500, right? You could say 500 times 100. 500 times 100. Oh my goodness, I'm blowing my own mind. You know, math wasn't even my strongest subject back then. But I want to have that epiphany where people say you use math for everything, because I know it's important. I'm not one of those that says, you know, math wasn't that important. Why we should have classes that teach us to do the things that we want to do. What the heck do you want to do at 16 years old? You don't know. Just take the general courses. You need them. Math isn't everything. In English, knowing how to speak, write, and read, I think that is next to math. And I'm not saying above or below it, but right next to math is one of the most important skills that you need in this life to do what you want to do. How are you going to communicate with people if you don't know how to read or write or speak? I mean, granted, you might get away with knowing just one of those things, but you have to be really fucking lucky to get rich just knowing how to speak, or just knowing how to write, or just knowing, or being able to, for that matter, to read. But if you can do all three and use them all congruently and cohesively to perform and construct one very convincing, powerful message, you're unstoppable. That's communication, right? Transferring a message to people from one mind to another. That is the greatest miracle that there is. They call that the word. That's what the word is. The good news is that you get to tell people. Whatever's in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, you can tell people whatever that is. No one is stopping you. Whatever truth you have within you, you can share with the world, and no one will stop you.